Alright, I'm here to do my predictions for UFC 87 Seek and Destroy with GSP versus John Fitch in the main event. The best fighter from Canada. Wearing the gi today because I just got back from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and I don't feel like showering and putting clothes on and doing a video. So I'm going to do this, then shower, then bed. Okay, so start from the bottom. Work my way up. We have McCrory versus Luke Kumo, two young welterweight fighters. Taking Tamden because I think he's the better wrestler. I think he's good enough to nullify Luke's decent submission game from the bottom. Luke is good at staying out of trouble, so I don't think he finishes him. So that's why I'm going with the judge's decision. On the feet, Luke looks really good when a guy doesn't have the range to compete with him, and he is a good striker altogether, but Tamden has the range, and I don't think Tamden also will be dumb enough to continue to stand with him. It may reminisce the Luigi Fioravanti fight somewhat, and it may be a little bit boring, but it's the smart fight. Andre Gusmayo versus Razak Al Hassan. Don't know a lot about Razak, to be quite honest. Have not seen his fight, have not managed to find any fights. He's 4-0, he's got two submissions, a TKO, and a decision. So he seems to be a grappler. Andre Gusmayo is a very good grappler with power in his hands, although not exactly what I would call a very good striking from a technical standpoint. That being said, I got Gusmayo with the TKO in the second round just because he loves to TKO people in the second round. It seems to be like a God-given gift. Next up, we have Chris Wilson versus Steve Bruno. Steve Bruno's a good ATT grad. Chris Wilson's a good Team Quest grad, so both have good school behind them. Both are primarily ground fighters. Difference is Wilson's the better wrestler. Bruno may prove me wrong, but if you look at their previous fights, you'll come to somewhat of the same conclusion. Wilson's the better wrestler. He's also the better striker. I think he wins a unanimous decision just because Bruno is pretty good about not getting finished, and Wilson's not a great finisher, shall I say. Ben Saunders, J-Rock, Jared Rollins. Two Ultimate Fighter Season 6, I believe. Alums, Ben Saunders, taken by UD. Better striker, better ground game. J-Rock's the better wrestler, but still, Ben is no slouch. And Ben has incredible range. I think he'll just do enough to win a decision. J-Rock, hard guy to finish in some ways. I mean, the way John Copenhagen worked against him, he finally did finish him. But Saunders did not finish Dan Barrera in 2 attempts, and I think will set a standard for this fight that I don't think he finishes J-Rock. Next up, we have Manville the Pitbull Gamburyan versus Robertson. I do not like either of these fighters. I really don't. That being said, I do respect Manville's skills. I think he is the better wrestler. Well, it is more judo oriented, but the better takedown artist, put it that way, and the better grappler. I think Emerson's slightly better on the stand-up, but I think Manny can hold his own. I think Manny takes him down and just submits him in a longer version of the Manny-Noah Thomas fight, really. Just not a big fan of either of these guys. Speaking guys, I'm not a big fan of Jason McDonald versus Demian Maia. I'm not going to go on a tirade on McDonald. I'm going to take Maia by tap out in the second round. And the reason is Maia is the better wrestler. He is the better jiu-jitsu guy. He is not that bad in the stand-up, and Jason McDonald's not that good in the stand-up. Jason McDonald does have a propensity to get submitted. See his fight with Patrick Cote and a couple other ones. He's very good if you're a guy who doesn't really want to grapple with him, but if you don't want to grapple with him, he seems to have a problem with it, and Maia is the type of guy that should be able to come out, take him down, and considerably like the Ed Herman fight. Czech Kongo versus Dan Evanson. Dan Evanson is a big brawler with some skill. That being said, he's a striker, which means he's going to want to stand up with Kongo. He is going to have the reach advantage. That being said, Kongo, he's the better striker. He's more technical. He's the better wrestler, actually, for a change. Because we did see he does have some wrestling in his herring. He seems to have finally translated his Greco base into his MMA game. And Dan Evanson is a guy who can be taken down. So I see this fight basically being Kongo's kind of anywhere it goes. I'm going to take him by TKO in the second round. I'm thinking maybe on the ground. I think the first round will be more of a strike fest. second round Kongo, realizing that although he's the better striker, Evanson's reach is going to keep that on the feet fairly even. He goes for the takedown and pounds him out. Next up, we have Heath Herring versus Brock Lesnar. This is a fight I've gone back and forth a couple times. I mean, Herring is the better fighter. He's the better striker. He's the better grappler, etc. That being said, Lesnar has the one thing that really defines a lot of UFC fights. He is a phenomenal wrestler for heavyweight. He is strong. He's very strong. He's very big. He's very powerful. He can take Herring down, and I think more or less it will. Herring off his back is good, but not that good. He's not Frank Mir good, basically. I think Lesnar rides out a decision on this one. I think he's going to be a little less ground and pound happy after what happened with Frank Mir, and that's basically what's going to let Herring survive. That, and Herring is a very, very tough dude. Moving on, we got 2 fights left. We got Roger Huerta and Kenny Florian. I've gone back and forth in this fight a couple times too. This card in general is decently competitive. I mean, there's a few fights that I really am not looking forward to, but I'm looking forward to a lot of the card. We got El Matador Huerta and Ken Flo. I'm going to take Roger El Matador Huerta by unanimous decision. The reason is Kenny, although he is good off his back, he is good on the feet, and he's an improving wrestler, still has some trouble with wrestlers. He had problems with Sean Shirk, he had problems with Joe Lozon. Huerta's not Sean Shirk, but he is not Joe Lozon anyway either. He's kind of in the middle. You gotta remember, Joe Lozon's a very, very small lightweight. He really should be fighting 145. Huerta is a decently sized lightweight. I think Huerta can take him down. I think he can hang with him on the feet when he has to. I think he can take him down. I think he can avoid some submissions and go to a decision that way. By the standards of Huerta fights, this one might be slightly boring, but I see it still being a fairly interesting fight, a fairly competitive fight. And who knows, Ken Flo could surprise me. Man, if anyone can win by a cut, it's Kenny Florian. And that's really all there's to say about that. Next we have George St. Pierre, John Fitch for the welterweight title of the UFC, and this is the one welterweight title. This is the one UFC title I would actually call the world title. John Fitch, excellent wrestler, rangy, got good reach. His stand-up is actually pretty good. His submission defense is good. He's easily the hottest welterweight in the UFC's division and in the world. GSP, incredibly athletic. He has surprisingly good wrestling considering his pedigree is not that good. But that being said, he's gotten very good at it. He is an explosive striker. Sometimes I think people overrate his striking a little bit, but I think he is still a very good striker. He's not that submission oriented. He is more of a ground and pounder and positional guy on the ground. So this is a really interesting fight. I mean, to borrow a phrase from Joe Rogan, the problem is Joe uses that for every fight. But we got a guy who Fitch tends to do somewhat poorly against guys who can bring the same level of physical explosiveness and strength against him. His fights with Hone Carnero and Thiago Alves showed signs of some trouble. I mean, Hone, of course, gassed badly in their fight, and he eventually got Alves. But GSP has good cardio. I think he can push the pace. I think Fitch is also a bit of a slow starter, and I think that's going to hurt him, because that seems to when people get GSP is when he is starting off. He's not particularly a great starter, considering his name is The Rush, which is a little weird. But I'm taking GSP via TKO in the 3rd round on the ground. I think he can put Fitch there. I think he can outstrike Fitch. That being said, Fitch has a much better chance than a lot of people are giving him. He really can pull this off. He is, in addition to maybe Thiago Alves, the only 2 guys who I think I could see myself picking over GSP. But right now, I think St. Pierre is the man to beat, and I think St. Pierre will keep rolling to finally get a successful title defense. Now, he may be slightly cursed on this because, of course, his last title defense was with Matt Serra. Didn't go as well as planned. But those are my picks. Hope you enjoyed them, and I hope they do well. Later.